Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today I am going to teach you the biological process in human body. So we have already learned about food digestion, and we know the digestion and about the human digestive. And finally I told you the end products of digestion. We know by the mechanical digestion and chemical digestion, the food that we are consumed are converted to simple organic compounds. For example, carbohydrates, that is a biological molecule, large complex biological molecule. So it is converted to monosaccharides. Their monosaccharides mean, we know, glucose, fructose, galactose. These are the monosaccharides. And proteins are another biological complex compounds. So it is converted to, finally it is converted to amino acids. And lipids, it is a large molecule. So finally, after breaking down of lipids, it is converted to fatty acids and glycerol. So end products of digestion are monosaccharides, amino acids, fatty acids and glycerol. Okay, now we have to learn about what happens to the end products of digestion. We know digestion digestion start in both mechanical digestion and chemical digestion start in buccal cavity. After that, coming to stomach and passes through the esophagus. So no any digestion in esophagus. And after that, it is coming to stomach, and after that the bolus passes to small intestine through the duodenum. Duodenum, we know, that is the proximal part of intestine. So what happens to the end products of digestion? So finally digestion takes place in small intestine. So absorption takes place in small intestine after the digestion, right? And end products are absorbed into the blood capillaries of villi. So villi is the small structures that is present in small intestine. So this villi, this structure help to absorption of these end products. So what are the adaptations in small intestine to increase the absorption? So what are the adaptations are there in small intestines? Okay, let's now look at. This is the structure of villi in small intestine. So look at, this is the small intestine. This being a long tube, small intestine, it is nearly, we know, it is a 7 meter in length, right? So it is a long tube. It is it is one of the adaptation for absorption of food. And presence of circular folds in the inner wall of the small intestine, like this there are circular folds. And the presence of finger-like projection. These are the finger-like projections. So that is called villi. Villi, that is important small structure that is present in small intestine for absorption of food. And thin epithelial lining. Thin epithelial lining. Thin epithelial lining, you can see that. So that one also help for absorption. And villi, that is highly vascularized, it means the blood capillaries are there. So a number of blood capillaries are around that villi. So these are adaptation for absorption in small intestine. So there may be a question in what is the small part that help for absorption in small intestine. So answer is villi. So this villi is the small structure that is present in small intestine, absorption, and the adaptations you should know, right? I want to show you, look at this. these are blood capillaries around the highly vascularized, I told you. And look at this green color part, that is lacteal. So monosaccharides, amino acids, vitamins, minerals are absorbed into blood capillaries, but you should remember the fatty acids and glycerol that is absorbed into the lacteals. Lacteals, it is not belongs to blood circulatory system, that is belongs to another special system called lymphatic system. You know, blood capillaries are attached with the blood circulatory system, but lacteals, these are the lacteals, that is belongs to it's not belongs to blood circulatory system, it is belongs to lymphatic system. Okay, I want to tell you fatty acids and glycerol that is absorbed into lacteals, and finally it is entered into blood circulatory system. It means in that lymphatic system, it is another separate system other than the blood circulatory system, but finally in finally lymphatic system attached to the blood circulatory system, right? Now what will happen? Now we know glucose, amino acid that is absorbed into the blood circulatory system. So if we consume more glucose, what will happen? When there is high amount of glucose in blood, you know, end products absorbed into the blood circulatory system. So when glucose level increase in blood circulatory system, it is converted to glycogen and stored in liver. But when the glucose is decreased in blood circulatory system, what will happen? The glycogen that is already stored in liver, glucose stored in liver as glycogen. So when the glucose level decreased in blood, what will happen? It is breaks down and converted to glucose. Okay, after the absorption in small intestine, the other parts, unabsorbed materials are enter into large intestine. So this is the structure of large intestine, and inside that we can see the small intestine. I have already told you the proximal part of small intestine, that is duodenum, and the middle part is jejunum, that is not belongs to you, don't need to know about the jejunum, but end part of the small intestine we call it as a ileum. So what is ileum? That is the end part of small intestine. The proximal part, that is duodenum, end part is ileum. Now unabsorbed materials. So absorption take place, remember absorption take place in small intestine. Unabsorbed materials are entered the large intestine from ileum. And length of this large intestine, that is nearly 1.5 meter, and large intestine begins with cecum. So cecum is the proximal part of the beginning of this large intestine, and so it is the beginning part. End part of the large intestine is anus, rectum, and finally anus. So start with cecum, ends up in anus, that is large intestine. And in the matter that entered the large intestine, it contains a small amount of nutrition. Why? Because all the nutrients are absorbed in the structure villi in small intestine. And the matter that is entered to the large intestine consists cellulose and water. Because cellulose, it is not digested by the human body. So the matter which is entered into the large intestine consists cellulose, water. And main function of large intestine is, that is very important point, Main function of large intestine is absorption of water from the matter received from the last part of the small intestine, that is ileum. Okay, now another important part is there, that is called as appendix. It is a small, look at this is the appendix, small blind ended tubular structure. Small blind ended tubular structure starts at the end of the cecum. It is, this green color part is cecum, so it is, you can find out end of the cecum, so that is known as appendix, right? And it is very small in humans and it may be infected and become swollen. So this is the infected appendix part, right? So due to the infection it may be get swollen. So this disease is known as appendicitis. Okay, then what is fecal matter? So that is the semi-solid matter that entered into large intestine is known as fecal matter. Semi-solid matter, why? We know the water absorbed in large intestine. So the cellulose and water enter to the cellulose and water, and also unabsorbed matter that is enter to the large intestine. So we can say fecal matter is semi-solid matter that entered into large intestine. It is yellow in color. Why it is yellow in color? Because of the bile pigments. We know bile help for the emulsification of lipids, that is secreted by liver and stored in gallbladder and released to the duodenum, right? It gives the color for fecal matter, yellow color. And undigested food, this fecal matter consists undigested food. So we know fecal matter, it is not a waste, it is not a excretory material. I have already told you, because it consists not the digested part, it consists undigested food and also microorganisms, epithelial cells and mucus. So these are the, so that's why they are saying fecal matter, it is not a waste, it is undigested food. And now let's learn about the diseases associated with digestive system. We know the chance of getting infections to the digestive tract or digestive system is high. Why? Because it is entered into it from outside. You know, mouth cavity opens the digestive system begins with buccal cavity, that is opens to the environment. So the chance of getting infection is high. So the diseases is given to you. First one, gastritis. So what is gastritis? Mean inflammation of inner lining of mucosa. Look, you can see the picture, inflammation of inner lining of mucosa of stomach. So generally we call it as acidity in stomach. It is occurs in a stomach, right? Because we know why it is in stomach. It consists gastric juice. So gastric juice consists hydrochloric acid. So if the food is empty in stomach continually, the hydrochloric acid act on the wall of the stomach, and we call it as acidity. Now symptoms and reasons for gastritis. What are the symptoms of gastritis? That is, you know, regurgitation of acid to mouth, burning feeling and pain in stomach, and when the condition becomes worse, ulcers appear in stomach and duodenal wall. Bleeding can take place. So what are the reasons for this gastritis? Skipping of meals, not eating at the time, consumption of acidic and spicy food more, excessive smoking and alcohol consumption, and so another disease associated with digestive system, that is constipation. So what is constipation? That is difficult of releasing fecal matter, or difficulty in defecation due to hardening of fecal matter. So fecal matter remain in large intestine for a longer period of time. That is, this situation we call it as a constipation. The difficult in release. What are the reasons for constipation? Consumption of food with low dietary fibers. We should consume the fibrous food like vegetables, fruits, like that. So when we consume more low dietary fibers, it will cause the constipation. And not taking required volume of water. We should, for a day, we should drink even at least 3 liters of water. But if we do not take the required volume of water, it will cause the constipation. And post-morning of defecation. What are the other important points about constipation we should know? Due to forceful defecation, anal canal, you know, that is anus, rectum and anus, anal canal may damage and bleeding can occur. Due to constant constipation, hemorrhage may occur. Hemorrhage means that is bleeding. And another disease associated with digestive system, that is typhoid. So the Salmonella typhi, that is the bacteria that causes the typhoid fever. So it is caused by bacterium. The pathogen is transmitted through food and water. That is very important. It is the pathogen. Who is the pathogen? Salmonella typhi, the bacteria. So that is transmitted through food and water. How? The bacterium can enter into the body through mouth while swimming and bathing in contaminated water. It may enter into the body through fecal matter of patient, consumption of contaminated food, and flies also cause the. What are the symptoms of typhoid fever? Pain in arms and legs, headache and fever. So you can go through your textbook, but I'll giving shortly. It is disease which gradually becomes worse, and initial stages constipation can occur. Initial stage of typhoid fever, constipation can occur, but after some time stomachache and diarrhea can occur, and tongue is covered by plaque. Ulcers can form in the small intestine and cause bleeding. Therefore, blood is released with fecal matter. So, due to ulcers, the wall can be damaged. Wall of the small intestine and anal canal may be damaged. Disease can be identified by a blood test or stool test, testing fecal matter, that is stool test. Typhoid can be prevented by getting vaccine. And look, another disease associated with digestive system is diarrhea. The diarrhea occurs when the intestines are infected with a virus, bacteria or parasite. The disease is transmitted by the feces of an infected person. The main symptom is release of fecal matter in liquid state. So that is diarrhea. Fecal matter is released in liquid state. So what will happen if it is released in liquid state? Dehydration takes place. Dehydration may occur due to loss of water. So absorption of water in the large intestine will not occur properly. We know water absorbed in large intestine. So if the fecal matter released as a fluid, so that means absorption of water does not take place in large intestine. So that is dehydration. If dehydration becomes worse, it may be fatal. So it is needed to consume more water and consult a doctor immediately if diarrhea occurs. So preventive measures of diarrhea and typhoid: consumption of boiled drinking water, then only it will destroy the bacteria. Removal of fly breeding places of flies and cover the food to prevent entering of flies to food, because flies also carry flies also carry the pathogen. Avoid consumption of food which are sold in open places, because flies may come and affect that food. Use of water, seal latrines, proper washing of hands with soap after using the toilet. So these are the preventive measures of diarrhea and typhoid. Okay, I think you can use the lesson clearly. Go through the textbook and read it again and again, and if you have questions you can give me a message or call. Thank you.